I used to ride horses when I was a kid. I think I remember telling you I didn't have a lot of money. And there were different times in my life that I did different things. Like I mentioned, when I was 15, I got really into sports because started sports in high school. But probably like from 12 to 15, I rode horses and loved horses. I was obsessed with horses. Um, I just always wanted a horse when I was a little girl. We could never really afford one. Of course, they're very expensive. I mean, even for people who are okay financially, a horse is a big expense for anybody. But I used to ride horses. I took horseback riding lessons. We were able to somehow, I don't know if my grandmom helped pay for them, but when I was really little, for a while, I was able to take horseback riding lessons once a week. And then I remember when I got a little bit older, I would always ride. My cousins had a bunch of horses. The Kelly girls, there were 5 of them. Oh, oh my goodness, wait. 5 of them, and then they had a little brother. So each one, I think, was born almost like a year apart. They were my cousins, my first cousins, and it was like each girl, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the last child was a boy. But all the Kelly girls had horses, and sometimes when my cousin Kathy was in college, I would ride her horse. He was this big, like, Tennessee Walker horse, I think, and if I'm wrong, she'll tell me, but he was just beautiful, and I would sometimes ride him when she was in college. But then a lot of times I didn't have a horse to ride, and they'd all have a horse to ride. And then a couple of my friend, one of my other girlfriends, had a horse, and we'd all do these like nighttime horseback riding around Cape May. Like we'd go out through the fields in the woods and over by the airport. There's an airport right near my home. When I was little, it was like a couple miles away. And in the evenings, we would just ride our horses in the fields. Of course, we rode them in the day too, but this was a particular evening that I'm going to talk about. And I was pretty good. I don't want to brag. I mean, all of us were pretty good on, I don't want to say we were skilled at like showmanship, because none of us really had a lot of formal lessons. We did show a little bit. I did show English a little bit when I was young, but it was more about just riding the horses around town, because we really didn't have a lot of structure with the horses, honestly. I think maybe the girls did a little bit more at certain points in their lives, but at most of the time when I would get to ride a horse, it was usually just out in a field somewhere, and got really good at bareback riding. Like we would actually run these horses across the field, and sometimes we'd race the horses across. I mean, we would just line these horses up and just gallop. And remember, there was always one, her name was Cashmere, and I know my cousins are going to know what I'm talking about. She would always want to be in the front of the race when we raced them. But we would really run hard. We'd run bareback. We'd ride bareback. Often if I had to jump on somebody else's horse with them, I was bareback on the back. And as a matter of fact, we did take Cashmere. That was actually my cousin Lisa's horse, but my cousin Linda and I were on the horse. And I remember she took off, and I was on the back, and Linda was in the front. And Linda couldn't stop her, and she was just galloping. We're both bareback double on this horse, galloping across the field in the dark. And I remember I had to grab the reins because she was so far up on the horse's neck, and I had to pull back, and then the horse just came to a dead stop right at like this water. There was like a water, almost like a stream, and I remember we both flew over the horse's neck and just like tumbled into the edge of this water, like almost fell in. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, but we were always, I don't want to say doing crazy stuff like that. We were crazy girls. We weren't like pretty girls. We were crazy. Like we weren't hair and makeup. What's that? No, we were like out rough and tumble, just crazy, fun girls. We were fun. I felt like we were fun. But anyway, so the whole point of my story was I didn't have a horse, and there was a horse that was a beautiful horse that this person had, and we would always ride by it, and I always felt bad for it. Listen to me, I'm acting like I did something right, because this poor sad horse was all by itself. He was a big horse, and he was pretty, and we'd go on our little evening moonlight trail rides, and we'd ride past this beautiful horse, and he'd run over to see us or look at us like, what are you doing out there? Why am I in here? And I had an extra set of reins, and I was on the double with one of my cousins, and we knew that we were going to be riding for a while. And we didn't ride hard. We were just going to be doing, I didn't do anything aggressive with this horse, but I remember just going in there and walking up to him, and he was beautiful. And I didn't even know, this is really the scary part. I think about how naive and stupid you are when you're a young person and the stupid things you do. And I never even rode this horse before, and I just took it bareback, put the reins on it, and we just took it for a trail ride. And I feel like that horse was happy and I was happy, but it wasn't my horse. And I feel guilt for that. I feel so much guilt. I'm not a person that I don't even want to steal a flower out of somebody's yard. I'm not a thief. And I'm proud of that. Never stole. I never would steal. Even if no one saw me and I knew I could get away with something, I still wouldn't do it. But that night I did, and that's when I stole the horse. And so those are my 3 stories. I wanted to get this episode out because I don't want to miss a week with you. Don't dare want to miss a week. I'm bound and determined to get these out by every Wednesday, hopefully. That's my plan, is to keep getting these out. And as I said, they're going to get better and better. And I know right now this is a journey that I'm going on. And I'm loving it. I'm loving doing this. And I hope that as I tell these stories, it does touch people's lives. I mean, this one wasn't very, deep or meaningful, but I just wanted to share this one in a lighthearted way again, because it's going to break up some that are a little bit heavier, a lot heavier. And anyway, I would say my stand up and redo from this little episode is, honestly, don't tell your kids the things you did when you were a kid when they're growing up. My kids are old now. They're in their 30s. So I can tell them these stories. But man almighty, I would never have wanted my kids to know the things I did when I was young. I mean, the sea mist was no big deal. That wasn't really that bad. But the other 2, I would never have told them those stories when they were kids. Now that they're adults, they can handle it. But anyway, I just thought that was fun. And thank you. And my stand up and redo is, don't let your kids know what you did when you were a kid. Honestly. All right. Thank you so much.